Alright. Back at it again with another deep thoughts. And you might have noticed something. My face is actually, I have my left ear. Or, I guess from, it's actually my right ear that was missing in the original photo. But, you know, it's on the left because pictures are flipped and whatnot. But yeah, I didn't find the original photo or anything, because I'm pretty sure the photo I have, actually I know that the photo I have is not the original, but I think the only area I would have the original is in my high school email. And obviously I don't have access to that email anymore, since it's been, dear Lord Jesus, fucking 5 years. 4 or 5 years. You know what? It's been 4 years because I graduated in 2021. But yeah, obviously graduation was at the beginning of 2021 though, so it's one of those things where it's like, because of the timing of when school ends, it's really weird. Like, oh, that's why it's extending over. Sorry, I was clicking on things, trying to see what's going on with my shit. But, yeah, so, like, it's weird thinking about the fact that technically I graduated in 2021, but because it's like, I mean, I guess it's halfway through the year, roughly, that you graduate, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like the year just started when it's the end of, like, your not semester, but the end of that school year or whatever. Why are school years like that? Why don't they, like, start in January and then end in December or some shit? I mean, let's see, how many months are you in school for? Isn't it 8 months? Because it's August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. It's 10 months, actually. Let me double check that. It's been too long since I was in high school, or in school in general. How many months are in a school year? It's 10 months. 9 to 10 months, depending on the educational system and country. The US, for example, would be, 10 months. So, like, you could totally, I mean, Noah, I guess it makes sense because summer is when it's nice and warm and hot and people can go outside. If you ended the school year at the end of the year, and had, the 2 months off. I mean, November and December, honestly, with holidays, not the worst idea to switch it to November and December is when kids aren't in school and whatnot. But I mean, also it's understandable because cold as fuck during November and December, depending on where you live. So, like, you want the kids to enjoy their vacation from school while it lasts for those 2 months. I mean, so you actually start halfway through August, I think. And school ends halfway through May. When does US school year end? Late May and early June. So, okay. Yo, what the fuck is this bullshit ass school? They start in July and end in May. What am I looking at? Gradual shift to old school calendar. DPED begins gradual shift to old school calendar. That's a stupid ass calendar. It starts in July and starts July 2024 and ends May 16th. So yeah, you're not even really given, you're given about, are you given less than 2 months for summer vacation? Is it actually like 1.5, roughly? Okay. How many days are in summer break? Let's see. All day. Most US schools have a summer break that lasts 10 to 12 weeks. So if we go on the high end of that, 12 weeks times 7, so 12 times 7 is 84. So that's almost 3 months. So yeah, I was right. For the average, it's almost 3 months, but what the fuck is DPED doing? To be fair, I didn't have anything planned for this, so, like, it's fine for me to go and just do random bullshit because I didn't have anything planned for this. I just wanted to make one of these deep thought videos. How many, what was it? Oh, is this DPED right here? It is. July 29th is when it starts, and then it ends in May 16th. So that's January, February, March, April, May. So halfway-ish through May. And then it goes into June. And then at the end of July. Okay, so yeah, 2.5 months. So the same as a normal school. Okay. It just seemed a lot shorter thinking of May to July. Mostly because I was thinking of it as like... So most schools end May 31st, actually, the very last day of May. Interesting. Like I said, it's been so long since I've been in school, so I kind of I forgot about all this stuff. Anyways, I don't know. I don't even remember why I went on that tangent now. But yeah, so I've been streaming a lot, as I'm sure many of you have noticed. And today I've been just spending time kind of updating the setup, making it better. I already showed off that I added like emotion toggles of sorts to my model using like some pre-made asset stuff. And is YouTube down? Okay, there we go. It's loaded now. It wasn't loading. I thought it had gone down or some bullshit. But yeah, my last stream where I rage quit Half-Life. I'm still planning on beating Half-Life, but my god. It's one of those things where it's like, I enjoy the story. I enjoy the gameplay for the most part, but I talked about this in the stream, and this is something I find really interesting. So if you go back to the origins of video games, obviously you start with arcade machines. And so the whole point of an arcade machine is that people put money in to try and beat the game, and then, you know, it's literally just gambling for children. Except the children win no money. They only win happiness from beating the game. But it's more likely that they won't beat the game, because the whole point is they made the games very, very difficult. Or in some cases, they had it where there was no end, technically speaking, so that kids would just keep playing and playing and playing. But there were some games that had an ending. For instance, there was that Dragon's Lair, I think. Oh, I forgot that this had vocals in it. But was it Dragon's Lair? I spelled dragon wrong. It's Dargan Lair. Dargan's Lair. Arcade game. Yeah, it is called Dragon's Lair. I remembered that correctly. Wow, that's crazy. I totally thought I would get that wrong. But yeah, no, Dragon's Lair, which I think, if you think about it, I think Dragon's Lair was the first game to be, or just have, QuickTime events. Because the whole thing is literally just QuickTime events. So for those who don't know, Dragon's Lair was this, it's a really cool game. So it's a fully animated, like it's sort of like in the old Disney style, like Snow White, or even if you want to go a little later, sort of like their 70s style when they were going through that rough period and they kept on making dark-ish movies and whatnot. It kind of has that style, and you're like playing as a knight trying to save the princess. You know, you're going through the Dragon's Lair and whatnot, and literally the entire game is just QuickTime events. It's literally just press this button, and you have like half a second to do it, and then you die if you don't press it fast enough. So for the most part, you're actually just watching a movie. I don't know how long it actually was. Dragon's Lair arcade game length. What was its length? Let's see. How long is Dragon's Lair? How long to beat.com has it? That's crazy. So it's actually a full movie. It's 58 minutes. And this was a fucking arcade game, by the way. So, yeah, when focusing on the main objective, Dragon's Lair is about 58 minutes in length. If you're a gamer that strives to see all aspects of the game, you are likely to spend 3.5 hours. I assume 100% completion would just be getting all the deaths. You know? Because that's the only thing I could think of. There's not really anything else I could think of, because it doesn't have achievements, and like I said, I'm pretty sure it's just like QuickTime events. I don't think you actually have any controls whatsoever. It's just a movie that has QuickTime events, and the movie ends if you don't press the buttons fast enough. Which, for the time, cool, fucking dope-ass concept, because this came out in like the 80s or something. Let's see. I can look at the Wikipedia article to find out when it came out. 1983 is when it was first released. It has there's Dragon's Lair 3D Return to the Lair, which released in 2002. I assume that was released as an actual video game and not a arcade machine. I don't know why I couldn't remember the fucking words. Also, the princess's name is Daphne. Interesting. Oh, there was actually an arcade sequel made called Dragon's Lair 2 Time Warp, which was released in 1990. Oh, it wasn't an arcade machine. It was a Laserdisc video game. Okay, that's interesting. And to be fair, the 90s was like kind of when full motion video really started to kick off with shit, what was that? What was that game? Trying to remember the name of it. Night Stalker. That's not what it was called. Shit, what was it called? Let's see. Will this Wikipedia article have the name of the game I'm thinking of? I'm not seeing it at all. Gotta be shitting me. I'm not seeing it at all. List of FMV. There's a website called FMV World, literally just for FMV games. That's crazy. Oh god, it's in alphabetical order. I'm never finding what I'm looking for. Okay, let's see. Wikipedia, please have it. And if not, Screen Rant. I bet it's in... It has to be top 10, you know? Because it's a classic. Oh, there's... Oh, not for broadcast. That looks interesting. That kind of looks like if they made the game I'm thinking of today. I guess Simulacra was technically an FMV game. Let's see. Where is the fucking game I'm thinking of, dude? Night Trap. That's what it is. Right? It's Night Trap. FMV. Night Trap video game. Yes, it is Night Trap. That's the one that I was thinking of. And that one came out in, yeah, 92. So yeah, the 90s were kind of the big boom for FMV games, and then people were all like, yeah, this is cool, but I actually like walking around a map instead of just pressing buttons when the game wants me to press buttons. But of course, now FMV is actually sort of making a return in a way. Specifically within the Korean market, there's actually a lot of Korean FMV games being made, and they are quite literally just visual novel dating games, but now instead of anime titties, you're, you know, trying to date real titties, except for the fact that it's an actor and they don't know you and they would probably spit in your face if you actually tried talking to them. Anime titties can't spit in my face. Unless somebody draws them spitting in my face, in which case, shit. Checkmate, I guess. Could you imagine trolling people? Like, dude, if I was an artist, I would just look for like people online who have like they don't touch grass enough. They have like waifu body pillows and shit, and I would just like find out what their waifu is, and I would straight up just draw their wife spitting on their face. Draw that anime girl spitting on their face. I think that shit would be really funny. For like all of 2 seconds until I realize, you know what, this is just mean. Like, in theory, it's funny, but in reality, it's just mean. I mean, maybe it would actually get them to realize that, you know, loving an anime woman to the point where you marry a body pillow of her is a problem. And they should seek serious help, because that is not normal and not healthy. But there's also the possibility that they just like kill themselves because they're already like off the deep end, you know? Like they're already having it rough, so like doing that is just kind of mean. One of those things where like I'll say something as a joke like that, you know, like the whole, oh, it would be funny to draw somebody's waifu but spitting in their face, you know, because like there's that whole joke of like people who, you know, they gave up on 3D, they're only in love with 2D women or whatever. It's like the whole yeah, my 2D waifu can't, you know, be mean to me. So like in theory it's really funny to go like, are you sure about that? But in reality it would just be really mean. Okay, you know what? Pause the music, we're switching the playlist. I don't care that these all have lyrics. I already have the music turned down enough that it shouldn't fucking matter. My voice should be like 10 times louder. Effortless. Yeah. Yeah. I'll make it look effortless. Okay. I don't know if my voice is in time with it because, you know, there's the whole delay in OBS between your mic and what you're hearing, and I have even more delay because I use Bluetooth headphones. So, you know, that's fun. But, you know what? I just thought of something that would be funny. Turn, like, this, you know, the Thinking Man sculpture with my face on it. It would be funny to turn this into a VTuber avatar. Like an anime version of this could be pretty funny. Also, my VTuber avatar does have a toggle. I had to add effects to it and whatnot. But the toggle I have, so it's a whole funny toggle that's all like, oh yeah, now I'm deep fried and whatnot. But honestly, it's not exactly what I was thinking. But the person who made it already spent so much time and effort, and it's like, I really appreciate everything they did. I think they did a great job. And to be fair, what I was thinking of would probably be more expensive than what I spent to get the avatar anyways, you know? So it's like, I honestly don't have an issue with the toggle in terms of money I spent and the outcome I got. Although I definitely think if I were to get a VTube avatar in the future, I think I would go for something that's more, like, what am I thinking of? Because I think my VTuber avatar is actually really good. It, you know, it fits with how I look. Except for the hair. The hair's a little long. It's not actually how I look in real life. I look closer to this image. Although sometimes my hair does get really long and it does end up looking like that. But, yeah, no, I usually just, I usually have, like, pretty short-ish hair. So yeah, I think if I were to, in the future, I think some changes that I would make to the avatar if I were to, like, hire somebody is, like, shorter hair. I think I should send, like, more references in the future to really get the look and really, like, explain kind of what I'm thinking. I can't draw for shit, so I would probably make a really shitty drawing to try and describe what I want, or if the person's okay with it, try to use AI, because my drawing would be so dog shit that I don't think they'd be able to get much information from it. So I'm not gonna lie, I think an AI generated image would be more helpful than anything I could draw. If I were to ask somebody to make a drawing, like, I'm not very good at describing things either. And that's one thing. I've seen some, like, artists on, like, Twitter or whatever, or, like, you know, somebody will post a video about, oh yeah, this artist hates AI, blah 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 blah, or, like, on Reddit or whatever, and it's like the artist, they got a commission, and then the commissioner sent them an AI generated image and was like, hey, can you draw something like this? And then they, like, said fuck off and, like, blocked the person for sending them AI, despite the fact that they were commissioning an artist. And yeah, it's like, one thing I would point out is that's really fucking stupid. I would have to agree with, like, the idea that that is indeed stupid. Because I don't think, in my opinion at least, if you're, like, an artist, I don't think you should be against someone sending you an AI generated image to go, this is sort of what I'm thinking of wanting, but I want you to draw it, you know? Like, it's stupid. If you don't like AI, then like you could just add some stipulations when you send, like, if you're afraid of them using your art with AI, you could always add stipulations, and obviously it would be impossible to know if somebody doesn't follow the stipulations, the rules, and whatever, uh, the guidelines you draw out. But you could just go, here's a contract that says you can't use it for this purpose, or, you know, yada, yada, yada. You can't use it with AI. Uh, but yeah, I honestly, so like, obviously, I'm more on the side of liking AI than not liking it, you know? On the internet, controversial opinion. In real life, most people don't give a shit. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty obvious because I made a whole AI VTuber, and yeah, about that. The only reason that I haven't done anything with that or haven't continued with it, it's literally just that I run into issues where it's like, so I actually wanted to make a video about this, but I never did. I wanted to go over how insane the 3D debut for Neuro-sama was. That was crazy. Because you can tell it's AI generated movements. So my assumption is this is probably what's happening. I think Vettel, I don't know if, like, no, what? I'm gonna look this up because I don't know if this exists, but it might. Oh, know what? There definitely are AI that can generate. So he probably was able to get one of those models that can take video and turn it into like usable animation, uh like mocap, you know? So it's like instead of needing a full mocap rig, um there's websites that you can use. I've used some of them in the past. I know one of them keeps sending me emails. Oh, Rococo, I believe, is the one that I'm thinking of. Yes, Rococo is the one that keeps on sending me emails still, even though I haven't used it in like 3, 4 years. But you know, Rococo. I think there's another one called like Mocappy or something. Like, let's see, video to mocap. So yeah, Rococo. Plask is another one that I actually used a little bit of. Reallusion, I think, is one that's like kind of a premium sort of one. I thought there was one called like Mocappy or something. I might be wrong though. But yeah, I've used Rococo and Plask. I don't think I actually ever got Plask to... I don't think I got Rococo or Plask to ever actually generate anything. You know what? I think I did get Plask to generate mocap, but Rococo, I couldn't. And I left it alone for like 30 minutes and it still didn't give me anything. But to be fair, I used it back in, you know, like 2022 or something. So, understandable. But yeah, I've heard of Reallusion, but I think that's like kind of a... That's like the premium one, you know? So like it's free to use and whatnot, but like to really get the full thing, it like costs money, I think. Oh, maybe it doesn't. Features. Oh, okay, never mind. There is indeed a cart here. Online store. Software store. They also have a content store. I think Reallusion has also done other things. Like, they're not just the AI thing. Yeah, they did Unreal Live Link. That's another one. Damn, that's expensive. Holy shit. $894. timecode plugin for iClone. I think iClone is their video to mocap animation software. What would be the necessity for a timecode, though? Whatever. Yeah, they have some, like, character creator stuff. You know what? I think it was the character creator stuff is what I went to them for at one point. I was just looking into it, and then I saw how expensive it was, and I was all like, you see, that's the thing. I'm kind of... That's kind of the thing is with a lot of these, to be fair, it costs money to run these websites. Or, you know, the person spent time creating this AI that can turn video into mocap and whatnot. But yeah, I think Vettel probably either got his hands on one of those, like, he maybe got his hands on Rococo's AI that they use for turning video into mocap animations. And then I think he instead trained it from converting video to animations. He probably converted it into being a pretty much, I think it works very similarly to how image generation works. So in a way, he could have just started with a normal image gen style of AI. And, like, obviously, so he would have started with, like, generative AI, which there's multiple ways you can go about that. But, you know, the basics of how generative AI works is literally... So it's really interesting, actually. For anybody who doesn't know how it actually works, it's really cool. It takes... You feed it images. So let's say I feed it images of dogs. It'll look at the image of the dog, and it'll go, okay, so this is what a dog looks like. Gotcha. And then it'll add noise to the image. And for an explanation of what I mean by noise, I'm talking like... Noise. Image. There we go. So, like, you know, TV static? That's a type of noise, as it's called. And so, for instance, Minecraft, the way that it generates its maps is it actually uses a noise generator. It's more complicated than just being a noise generator, by the way. It's very complicated. But, well, I wouldn't say very complicated, but it's pretty complicated. But, yeah, so it pretty much... You generate noise, and it's just randomly... Pretty much a noise generator just creates an image of black and white, and it randomly places it around in a way. But usually it'll look pretty similar to, like, TV static. You can change the variables to make it so that there's more white than there is black areas, and you could add gradients as well. That's how you would do Minecraft's world generation, sort of. Because the gradients would be able to tell you, like, white would be the highest point. So if it's pure white, if it's pure... Is white 255, 255, 255, or is it 000? I think white is 255, 255, 255, but I might be wrong. One second. Color picker. Sorry, I'm talking in hex code. But yeah, like, the hex of white is... Or not the hex, but the RGB. Yeah, okay, white is 255, 255, 255, or the hex is FFFFFFF. I think I said too many Fs, but who cares? And then black is just 000 RGB. The hex is 0000000. So yeah, like, so if a pixel on this image, so like each pixel is a block in Minecraft. So the highest point in a map would be 255, 255, 255 color. Was Minecraft's world height 255? Because I know they changed it, but was it originally 255? Because I think that makes sense. Because once again, with the way that it works, where white, so when it's 255, 255, 255 pixels, that color, that means it's world height. It reaches the absolute maximum height. And then the blackest black area, so 000, would be the lowest height of the world. Minecraft's world height ever 255. Yes, Minecraft's world height limit was originally set at 255 blocks. That's interesting, since, like I said, you would usually with a height map, white is indeed the highest point, and then black is the lowest point. So that's quite interesting that it would indeed be, it was 255. I thought I remembered that, and I was correct in remembering that. It was indeed 255. But obviously, you could go negative as well. So, to be fair, that's because I think the bottom of the ocean, like the lowest point, and this is old Minecraft I'm talking about, I think the lowest point the ocean could reach, I believe, was 0y. So obviously, the black areas would be the ocean, you know. So I believe that there was indeed like a water height thing. So it's like it was similar to the real world. So if a pixel on this map is at or below this specific point, let's say the Y level is let's say it's 50 is water, you know? So if this pixel is at or below 50, then you would actually fill that in with a water block. But obviously, once again, they actually did, I believe they did layered maps. So you had your basic height map, and then I believe they had and still have another noise generator for caves. And then they also have secret parameters and whatnot. So the noise generators don't define everything. There's also an algorithm that defines biomes. And now that caves have biomes, it also defines cave biomes. And obviously those biomes all have specific things about them. You know? Specific features and whatnot. Specific requirements. Like, oh yeah, for instance with a cave, let's say lush caves can only be... they can only, like, from the 0 point of the cave, of the lush cave, let's say it can only go up by 5 blocks and down by 5 blocks. For, like, you know, what would be air and whatnot. Obviously, that's not true, but that's just an example of, like, how a biome could be, like the parameters that a biome would have of, like, okay, now we're going to randomly generate this cave. So it's going to follow these parameters. It's going to stay within these parameters when it randomly generates each part of it, you know? When the game generates each part of that cave or that biome, it'll follow these specific requirements. It will stay within these specific parameters, yada yada. Anyways, there's your basics in noise generation and what noise is, and also your basics in how to randomly generate a map in a video game, if it's a voxel-based video game. However, the cool thing about AI is it does the exact same thing. So, it will take an image. It has the clear image of a dog, and so like, okay, this is what a dog looks like, coolio. And now it'll add a little bit of noise to it. So to a human, you'd still be able to tell that's a picture of a dog, but it would just look like it has a bunch of splotches on it, sort of. Obviously, once again, I'm really bad at describing things visually. I can describe, like, code and whatnot, and numbers and shit. I cannot describe images at all. Zero visual artistic bone in my body besides a little bit of Photoshop. Anyways, back to what we were talking about with AI. So, I'll slowly add more and more noise until the image is completely unrecognizable. You know, it's just the image goes from being an image of a dog to an image of a dog with a little bit of noise to an image of noise. So that's how the AI learns what a dog looks like. Is it sees a clear picture of a dog and then slowly adds noise to it. And you might be wondering, okay, but how does that help it create a dog? Well, this is the interesting thing about generative AI. It actually then reverses that process to generate. So it learns, by adding noise, it learns the important parts of a dog, you know? It learns each of the, like, defining features of a dog. And by learning those defining features, it's now able to generate a completely new image of a dog. It starts with noise, and it slowly replaces pixels in that noise until it spits out the image of a dog. That's literally how generative AI works. It's still like a simplification of it, but, you know, that's pretty much how it works. So, now, theoretically speaking, if you were to train an AI on mocap animation data, would you feed it the numbers? How do how does video generative AI learn? I mean, I guess it would go frame by frame. And it would keep those, so like each frame of a video that you feed into it, it would probably keep those within memory as like, okay, these are clumped together. That's how it would like be able to keep some level of consistency within a shot. And that's also probably why you don't get many cuts in AI videos. AI videos tend to just be one long video. One, like, long shot is pretty much how most, like, video generation AI works. You don't really get much cutting in them. Because if you feed it an entire movie and not clips from a movie, you know, scenes from a movie with no cutting. Okay. Let me start that sentence over. I realized that it was going to get complicated. So anyways, if you were to feed an entire movie to an AI, you know, that movie does not have any long shots, or no long shots, but, you know, there's plenty of cuts in the movie. Then when the AI tries to generate a video, what you would actually run into, an issue you would run into, is that then the AI would not be very good at keeping consistency. Because as it cuts between shots, things will then all of a sudden change. It won't, because it doesn't know consistency, you know? It doesn't know anything about consistency. It never learned consistency. And that's why you don't see any cuts in AI-generated videos unless the person combined multiple clips of different AI-generated videos. Most AI, at least every AI-generated video I've seen, It just is like a 30-second long take, you know? 30-second long shot. And that's because to have the AI be more consistent in the videos it generates, it actually is only shown uncut footage. So it only ever learns how to make long shots. And I definitely think that's going to be something that, like, I think in a few years we'll actually be to the point where AI can generate whole, like, 2-minute videos with cuts and whatnot. But I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. I mean, obviously within a couple years is pretty soon, but it's not going to be happening in the next couple months, I don't think. Because you'd have to... Oh, one way you could do it is if you combine... So to be fair, this is another interesting thing about generative AI. Generative AI is actually combined with LLMs, because the LLM takes the word inputs, and so they actually share a brain. The LLM and the generative AI share a single brain. And their brains are like 3D spaces where words are given different XYZ points within this 3D area. So, like, let's say ship. The word ship within the AI's brain is at 000. So then you have car. And car and ship are both vehicles. So they would be pretty close to each other, but they would also be pretty far away because a car is only on land, a ship is only in the water. So, you know, maybe the car would be 50-50-0 or something like that. And then, let's say you then have the word fog. Fog would be pretty far away from those words because it's not a vehicle. It's not specific to any location, such as on land or in the sea. It can be pretty much anywhere. So that would be pretty far away. Let's say that would be at 100, 100, 100 would be its coordinates. Actually, that's too close to the car. Let's say it's 1,000, 1,000, 1,000 is its coordinates. So the closer two words are together within the 3D space that is the AI's brain, the more interconnected those words are, the more similar they are to each other. So, for instance, two words that would be really close to each other would probably be car and truck. You know? The car, let's say 000, truck would probably be 550 or something like that. It would be very, very close because they're very similar words. There's only slight differences between a car and a truck. Sorry, I'm drinking tea. Got to keep my throat from drying out. So, yeah. So the LLM and the generative AI actually share a brain. So, for instance, while the LLM is focused on words, the generative AI, the image, in this case, let's say it's an image generation AI, it places images in the brain, and it will place those images near the words. So, for instance, you feed it an image of a car, it will then, learn what a car looks like, and it will place that memory of how to generate a car from going from noise to a car. It'll place that at 000 or, 001, let's say, is where it places it. So you would have car, and you would have an image of a car, the word car and the image of a car. They would be right next to each other. They'd be interconnected. So when you type out your prompt to the AI, it's actually an LLM that's reading the prompt. Sorry, it's an LLM that's reading the prompt, and then it feeds the coordinates of those words from the prompt back to the generative AI. And then the generative AI is able to go, okay, so I don't know what the word car is, but I know what a car looks like, and the coordinates that the LLM gave me are right next to this image, which we know of as a car. The AI doesn't know of it. It doesn't, the generative AI doesn't know what it's called. It just knows what it looks like. So the LLM, it's like you have a blind person and a deaf person. The blind person doesn't know what a thing looks like, but it knows the words, it knows words. And then the deaf person knows what things look like, but it never learned what those things are called. Obviously, that's not true. Deaf people know what words are. They know, there's sign language at least, bro. But, like, it's the best thing. It's the best, metaphor I could think of, okay? It's like the LLM is a blind person, and the generative AI is a deaf person. So when you feed it the coordinates, it goes, okay, so the nearest image I have to these coordinates is this thing. And when it points at that thing, we're all like, yes, that's a car, good. And then it'll take all of those different coordinates it's fed and the objects that are closest to those coordinates. I thought I heard somebody. Anyways, and then it will take those coordinates or the images that it finds that are closest to those coordinates, and it'll go, okay, so I need to put these objects together to create an image. And then it'll do that. And so the other thing would be the LLM, or not LLM, the generative AI is also able to learn not just individual objects, you can also teach it styles. So the LLM is also able to transcribe that. So if you say in the style of anime, then the LLM would look at their deaf brother, their deaf twin brother, and they would go, okay, look at me. You see this image? And it like points at the image, and so like, it starts miming like, draw this, and then it's all like, however, it does like pause hands and shit to the generative AI, and then it pulls up an image of like a Ghibli movie or something, and it's all like, and it points at the image of, I'm doing these hand motions, but I don't have my camera on, so you guys can't even see what I'm doing. But yeah, so then the LLM points at the like the Ghibli movie scene, and it's all like, yeah, and then it picks up the car again, and it's all like, it's like pointing between the two images, just going, make this, but like this, and then the AI is all like, gotcha, and then it generates an image based on that. So anyways, the reason I explained that is because I just came to a revelation of how it probably works. Of how Vettel's 3D mocap animation generative AI probably works. Is that I think Neuro-sama sends a prompt to the generative AI. So for instance, if you ask her to hug, she will send to the generative AI, create an animation of hugging, and then the generative mocap, or not mocap, but the generative animation AI it then looks at that and goes like, I can't read this. I never learned how to read. So then it passes it to its twin brother, the LLM, which then converts the words into coordinates. And these coordinates are, they're the coordinates for the words, but then it's also like, okay, so this is the thing though. The generative animation AI would then look at the coordinates that the LLM sends back to it, and it would go, that's what that word is. Cool. And then it, it pulls up the animation the animation memory it has of a hug that it was given to during training or whatever. And so it's all like, okay, cool, cool, cool. So this is what they want. Let me start with this. And they put down a piece of paper that just has white and black splotches, and then they slowly remove the white and black splotches until all of a sudden, boom, animation. Although animation's a little different because, technically speaking, within like Unreal Engine, for example, if you were to make an animation, you could do it by hand, where you would plug in numbers. Like, for instance, in Blender, you could do this. So instead of dragging your mouse around to create an animation, you know, to move the bones and whatnot, instead of or moving the joints around. So, like, if you're creating walking animation, you grab the knee and you pull it up. You grab the heel and you pull that back so that the leg is creating a little bit of like a V shape or whatever. Instead of doing something like that, you could theoretically type in the X, Y, and Z of the joints. And you do the same for the rotation. So you'd put in the X, Y, and Z for how you want the joints to be rotated and so on and so forth. And so I think that it's actually not a image generation AI of sorts. It's a number generation AI where it generates the X, Y, and Z for position and the X, Y, and Z for rotation. Let me think. What else would there be? So you have your location, your rotation, and the only other thing would be transform. But I don't believe Neuro-sama ever shrunk herself, did she? Let me look that up, because it's possible that it is also trained on the transform, which, like I said, the transform is making something bigger or smaller. So you start with 1 as your number for the transform, you know. So you're at 1 times the size. So then if you put in 2, it would then double the size of the object. But yeah. Neuro-sama 3D debut shrinking. Okay, I don't see anything about her shrinking herself, so I don't think that happened. But correct me if I'm wrong, you know? But yeah, so that's one really cool thing, is that I think that's probably how it works, is that it's a number generation AI. It was trained on the numbers of an animation. So for each frame of a specific animation, if you're feeding it the animation of a hug, instead of feeding it a video file that is the animation, you'd actually feed it the numbers of all of the joints and bones and whatnot of that animation. But that also means that that AI is... You wouldn't be able to create an AI like that that would be multi-purpose. It would have to be for a specific type of skeleton. So for instance, if you're using a skeleton that is usable in VR chat, you'd have to specifically look for, you know, the skeletons that are VR chat compatible. And then, so the thing about this AI would be, because of the way that it would be trained, is that it would be very limited to the number of bones and joints and the constraints put on those bones and joints. It would not be able to go past those parameters. So if you were to grab Vettel's animation generation AI, and you tried to ask it to generate an animation of a spider walking, you'd actually just get an animation back of a humanoid skeleton on all fours walking, most likely. Or it might not even... It probably doesn't even know what a spider is, so it would have no reference frame for that. So it probably wouldn't even have a walking on all fours skeleton animation sent back to you, it would probably be a human walking on its two legs, because it wouldn't even know what a spider is, and so on and so forth. So that would actually be really interesting. But yeah, that's my theory on how he did it. And so this is going back to Neuron the Stupid, my VTuber AI that I created. And the reason that I haven't been doing anything with it at all is just that I am a perfectionist. So if something is not working exactly to my specifications, and I can't get it to work exactly to my specifications, I just kind of go, I would rather have nothing than have this. And that's a me problem. In fact, this was a big issue when I was in school, is if I didn't finish my homework, I would rather not turn it in than turn in my unfinished homework. So if I ever got stuck on a problem, I would just not turn in my homework. Yeah, I had problems. I still have problems, but I'm working past them little by little. So yeah. Anyways. So, I guess, with Neuron, will I ever bring her back? I can't really say. Maybe? I do have a second computer, and I have VTube Studio on that computer for Neuron. Although, shit. I just thought about the fact that, so I bought the multiplayer DLC for VTube Studio, but let's see, how much was it? 20 bucks? Dude, because that's the thing. Since it's a completely separate account, I don't think I can share DLC. Maybe DLC gets shared through family members and whatnot, but still, I'm pretty sure with Steam sharing, it's like, you can't play online at the same time that the other person is playing that game. So you have to go offline if you want to play the game that they shared with you. So in that case, you know, if I tried to use VTube Studio with the multiplayer DLC, it would probably go like, sorry, bud. No can do, buddy. But who knows, maybe I'll use a workaround for that. Don't think too much about that statement. And if the creators of VTube Studio hear that, I don't plan on doing anything, I promise. I probably shouldn't say I promise, because I'm very bad at keeping promises. Anyways. So yeah, I might bring her back. Possibly. Who knows? But it's just like for tool calling, I just kept on running into issues, and I don't need tool calling for her to fucking work, you know? For instance, the YouTube stuff doesn't use any tool calling, actually. It's literally just fed into her memory. So, like, after every, 10 YouTube messages or whatever, although she only works with Twitch right now, I'd have to rework Neuron to actually get her set up for YouTube, because YouTube is a pain in my fucking ass. Anyways, sorry about that. But yeah, so one thing that I could do, hook her into YouTube, and it would pretty much be, okay, after... And this is the thing that sucks. You can't check. So, like, with Twitch, you can actually, like, Twitch will send messages back to you every time a new message comes through. Their API is actually cool. YouTube's API sucks ass. It does not send updates back to you. So if you want to fetch the YouTube chat, you just have to do it on a timer. You can't wait for the YouTube chat to update. You can't go, okay, once somebody comments in YouTube chat, you can't retrieve that data you know, you just have to go like, okay, checking YouTube chat, nothing. Checking YouTube chat, nothing. Checking YouTube chat, one new comment. And it's just like, it's fucking stupid. It's fucking Google, dude. They should be able to set up asynchronous calls and shit. Or not calls, but they should be able to set up push, I forgot what it's actually called. I'm forgetting my terminology for network stuff. I've created my own servers and shit, dude. But sometimes I just forget terminology. But they should be able to set that stuff up where it's like asynchronous, so it's just like your program can wait for a message to income from YouTube, where YouTube's all like, "Yep, there's a new message in your chat. Have fun." But because it's not like that, you actually waste a lot of the tokens that you're given, because you're only, like you're given like 100,000 tokens per month, and it costs 10 tokens per fetch request of the YouTube live chat, let's say. So, I request the YouTube, let's say I stream for 1 hour, and I have a fetch request every 10 seconds. So that is 60 minutes times 60 to get 300 or 3,600 seconds. So I stream for 3,600 seconds. We then want to divide that by 10. So I only actually fetch 360 requests, but then we times that by 10 again, actually, because we're saying that 360 times, fuck you, 360 times 10, which, is 3,600. We already knew that, since I did the division by 10 and then multiplied by 10 again. So yeah, if I fetch it every 10 seconds, that's going to be, per stream, 3,600 credits, tokens, whatever you want to call them. 3,600 tokens used. So then, whoopsies, if we then multiply 3,600, or if we take 100,000, because, once again, we're saying that the limit per month, you get 100,000 free credits per month to use. Okay? So that means per month, I can only have, this is going to be a lot of streams, actually. Yeah. I can only have about 28-ish streams. It would be 20, it's 27.7777777777778. I probably said 2 little 7s, I think. I think I needed to say more 7s than I said. But you get it. 2.7, blah, 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 8 streams. So I'd be able to do, and those are each only 1 hour streams. So if we actually wanted to do it by hour, how many hours of streaming is that? Let me think, how would we do that? Or I guess we would do seconds. How many seconds of streaming is that? So we would take 100,000. Oh yeah, I think that would be 100,000 seconds of streaming. Wouldn't it? Because it costs 10 tokens. Once again, this is all theoretical. I don't remember how many tokens it costs and how many tokens I get per month. But yeah, because it's, if I do a check every 10 seconds, that's the equivalent of 1 token per second. Which means 100,000 seconds is how much I have streaming time-wise. So that if we multiply that 100,000 by... Or not multiply, if we divide it by 60, we get 1,666.666666666 blah 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 7 minutes, and then multiply that once again by 60 to get the amount of hours. I multiplied. I meant to divide. I'm so stupid. Go back to this number. This number. Fuck you. Clear. This number. Give me this number, motherfucker. Clear. This number. There we go. Okay, now divide this by 60. Oh, suck my ball sack, bitch. Okay, yeah, it's not letting me do anything now. Okay, we're gonna have to copy, paste. Okay, divide by 60, you piece of shit. Okay. I already said 27 hours, didn't I? Oh, yeah, I said if every stream is exactly 1 hour. I didn't need to do any of this math. I'm so stupid. My brain is just stupid right now. But yeah, once again, 27.77778 hours per month. And I think most streamers average time spent streaming per month. Average time content creators spend streaming per month. On top, blah, blah, blah. Let me think. Average time Twitch streamers, let's try that. Spend streaming per month. Twitch statistics and charts, let's see. Does this have what I'm looking for? Live viewers now, 7-day live channels, blah, blah, blah. Viewers, channels, active streamers, watch time, stream time. Here we go, stream time. So, total duration of all live streams in November, all-time max broadcast time, hours. Oh my god. Hours live streamed daily. Hours live streamed yesterday, so that's not helpful at all, actually. Yeah, that's not giving me what I want. Son of a bitch. Okay, back it up. On average, okay, this is according to AI, so it's probably wrong. But we're going to take it. On average, Twitch streamers spend 93,500 hours streaming each month. I'm 99% sure that is false. How many hours are in a month? If we say, 30 days times 24 hours. Yeah, there is indeed not 93,500 hours in a month. There's 720. Visitors spend an average of 9 minutes, 14 seconds on site. None of this is what I want. Dude, I'm gonna kill somebody. In Minecraft. Okay. I trust this slightly more, and I think this makes more sense. Well, you know what? Fuck all this bullshit. Let's say they stream 40 hours a week. So 40 hours times 30. 1,200. Oh, I did per day. I'm stupid. That would be 40 hours per week. Divide that by 7 days to get 5 point. So let's just say 6 hours a day. I feel like that's highballing it. I'm not really sure, though. But yeah, let's say 6 hours per day. So 6 times 30 is 180 hours in a day. Or not a day, a month. So 180 hours per month spent streaming. Roughly. That is... let's do some math here. Let's round this up to 28. The 27.7777 yada yada yada. I'm rounding that up to 28. Okay, so we take our 28, divide that by 180, and we get 15%. I think. I'm gonna look up a percentage calculator so I can figure this out. Blank is what percent of blank? Yeah, so 28 is what percent of, what was it, 170? 180. Calculate. Okay, I calculated it correctly. It is 15%. So the average streamer would run out of free credits. Okay, not the average streamer, because once again, I'm saying 6 hours per day, every single day. So let's lowball it, you know? Let's go 3 hours on average per day because, you know, days not streaming and whatnot. Actually, let's go with 2 hours. 2 hours per day streaming. Actually, I think 3 was actually the better number. Okay, 3 hours per day spent streaming on average. Times that by 30 is 90. Still far above our 28 that you'd be able to get. So that is 35% exactly? Nice. Is that actually true? I don't believe that is the exact number. I think this website rounded it. 28 divided by 80. Never mind, 0.35 is indeed the exact number. That's interesting, which obviously the way that you calculate percentages is you take the smaller number divided by the bigger number, and then you multiply the output by 100 to get the percentage. So 28 divided by 80 is 0.35. Multiply that by 100 gives you 35. So 28 is 35% of 80. So I don't need this website to calculate it. I just like to double check because sometimes I forget my calculations. You know? Sometimes I forget how to calculate things correctly. Anyways, I'm yapping a lot about random shit. So, back to what I was saying. That is 35%. So, if you're given 100,000 credits per month for free, you'd only be able to stream. The AI would only be able to answer questions for 35% of the hours that you stream. Now, if we take 80 and we say, let's say, you know, the average streamer streams for 3 days a week. So, 3 days a week. 4 weeks in a month. 12 days. So they stream for 12 days a month? Does that add up? Because there are 4 weeks. How many weeks in a month? To be fair, it's not actually going to be exactly 4. It's actually more than 4. I thought it was less. 4.34. We're rounding it a little bit. Actually, if we're rounding, we want to make it 4.35. Hey! That actually, I think that's going to work out real nicely because of the 35% and whatnot. So, yeah, 4.35 weeks times 3 equals 13.05. Okay, so we have 13.05 is how many days somebody streams for. So we're going to go with 13, you know, rounding it. So we round it to 13. Okay, so the average streamer streams for 13 days in a month. I'm pretty sure I'm lowballing that. I think they probably stream for more than that. In fact, if we look at let's actually I'm in some Discord servers for some streamers. Let's look at, like, I know that in the Neuro-sama Discord they have, it would be in the updates channel, I think. Son of a bitch. Channels and roles. Announcements, I think, is what I'm thinking of. I'm looking for the last time they posted the updated schedule. which probably wouldn't have been for a while because of a bunch of unplanned or pre-planned streams without having a real set schedule. Let's see. Is it not in updates? Or announcements, I mean? General network, blah, blah, blah. Neuro-sama. Live chat clips, swarm discussion project, blah, blah. Okay. Alright, click into announcements, and I'm gonna search up schedule. Okay, here we go. We have some stuff. Subathon schedule. Oh! Oh, he's released the subathon schedule, actually? That's crazy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 days. 16 days. Let's relevant. Sort by relevant instead. Never mind. Sort by old. Or, you know what? Okay, okay. In announcements, look up schedule. I thought they posted the schedule more often. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I found the schedule. Never mind. Yo, I'm stupid. They don't actually post the schedule and announcements. That's not true. I know that they post it. Oh, there's a channel literally called Schedule. I'm just stupid. Okay. And obviously, Subathon is going to count because there's a bunch of days that he's not streaming. He's offline for the first, like, while because he's probably setting shit up. So let's look at November. So he was offline November 1st. So let's see. November 2nd. 1. And then... and then 2. I'm counting the days that were streamed in November. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. He streamed for 19 days. So maybe 13 isn't bad. You know, let's keep it at 13. You know? Okay, so it's a streamer streams for 13 days on average. Like a professional streamer streams for 13 days on average per month. So 13 days of a month are spent streaming, and they stream for roughly, let's keep it at 3 hours. Okay, we are actually still over the 28. That's crazy. But it's not that bad now. It's gone from 28, or from 80 to 39 hours are spent per month streaming. So 28 is now 71.79%. There's a bunch of other numbers. It's not perfectly 71.79. It's 71.794821794872% of 39. 28 is that percentage of 39. So, you still would be down. Let's round it up to 72, by the way. So there'd still be 28%. That's crazy. By rounding it up to 72, 100 minus 72 is 28. I didn't think about that. That is a very interesting coincidence that we start with the number like we do what is 20, or what percentage is 28 of 39. 28 is what percentage of 39. And then when we round up the 71% to 72%, 71.79% to 72%, and we take 100% minus that 72% to get the percentage left over that isn't spent with Neuro or whatever AI VTuber being able to interact with chat. It's then perfectly 28% in that case. Just an interesting coincidence. Anyways, so yeah. There'd be 28% of the time spent streaming that you would not be able to, or that the AI would be unable to talk to the YouTube chat without the person who created that AI having to pay YouTube for more credits or tokens or whatever. So now, one thing that I actually want to figure out is 39. How many hours is that of the total hours, you know? 28% is what percentage of 39? And I think if we multiply it by 0.28, we get 10.92. Let me double check that with the percentage calculator. So what is 28% of 39? Calculate. I did my math correctly. It is indeed 10.92. So roughly 11 hours of streaming time per month that your AI or my AI or whatever would not be able to respond to chat anymore without me having to spend the exorbitant amount of money that Google demands for tokens. So yeah, Google can shove the finger that I'm currently holding up right up their ass. You greedy fucks. I can't wait for my channel to get deleted by stupid AI that YouTube uses, and nobody gives a fuck about my channel because it's only at like what 446 subscribers. That is not enough people, and most of those people don't actually watch my content on a regular. So if my channel ever did get deleted, I would probably just have to stop YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like, I could try making a new channel or something, but if my channel ever did get deleted, the issue would be that if I created a new channel, it would just get deleted for ban evasion and whatnot. But luckily, I don't upload anything that I think would get flagged as reused content and whatnot. Dear God, I hope not. Like, there's absolutely no way this would get flagged as, like, reused content or whatnot. However, I am very poor with my language. I do curse like a sailor, although I think I've been holding it back quite a bit. I don't know. This is the thing. When I was working at Walmart, some crazy shit happened. Son of a bitch. God damn it. Fuck! Ah! Okay, maybe I'm not that good at holding back from cursing. I want you all to know that that was not me, like, being a YouTuber and acting up and whatnot. I legitimately... That legitimately just happened. I think I have a problem. And this story will expand upon that problem, actually. So I'm at Walmart. I'm working there. I'm doing my stuff. There we go. I didn't curse that time. Hold it off. Anyways, I'm doing my stuff. My manager comes up, and he's all like, hey, yo, what you doing? Just, like, checking in on me and whatnot. And I'm all like, oh, yeah, I don't even remember what I said, but I assume I said the word shit. Because I'm talking to him. And when I'm done explaining what I was doing, he was like, okay, cool. Keep up the great work. But also, make sure not to curse, while you're working and whatnot. And he walks away. And I'm sitting there and I'm doing the pose. I'm doing the thinker man pose. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what did I say? I didn't even realize I cursed because I have a problem where cursing, like I could speak 2 languages. English is my second language. My first language is fuck, shit, bitch. Yeah, like, it's a problem. I'm more likely to curse than I am to not, I think. I don't think that's true. But, like, if I have the choice between, if I'm talking, and I have the choice between the word stuff and the word shit, I'm probably going to be saying shit instead of stuff. And it's not something I'm thinking about. It just happens. That's just how I talk. I curse when I talk. And it was really funny. Another time that I realized I curse way too much. I've gotten too used to cursing in my daily vocabulary. In my daily speech is I was talking to my family, my dad and my sister and whatnot. And every other word that was coming out of my mouth, my sister, her eyes just grew wider and wider. She's older than me, by the way. So her eyes just like, mouth open, eyes wide. And I pause and go like, what's your issue, girl? And she's all like, when did you get so comfortable cursing around dad? And my dad turns and he's all like, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, you've been cursing a lot recently. And I'm like, oh shit. God damn. Okay. Oopsie poopsie. There we go. And so I'm standing there stunned. And I'm like, do I really curse that much? Like, I have a serious problem. I feel like what I need to do is I need to buy one of those shot callers that you can, like, Bluetooth connect and whatnot, like, has an API and shit that you could, like, hook up to Python. And I just need to code, like, a Python script that will transcribe my speech, so it takes my speech, like, it takes my mic input and converts it to a string of letters and words and whatnot. And I just need, like, to run that program when I'm streaming someday. And I have a feeling I'd probably end up dying from electrocuting myself too much. I think my heart would stop from the amount of voltage going through my body every single second. Because I keep, like, I would get shocked and I go, ah, fuck. And then I get shocked again and it would just keep going like that until I'm, like, lying on the floor crying, going, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You know what? That's not a bad idea, though. I kind of want to do that now. I think that would be really funny. So one last thing, because this video is getting pretty long, so it's gonna take like 5 hours to upload or something. But yeah, so one last thing I wanted to talk about is Vidic or vidIQ. I always called it Vidic, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be pronounced vidIQ. Which I assume is a parent or sister company of I would assume sister company, not parent company. But a sister company of the what was that one called? TubeBuddy or whatever? Let me look that up. Is it TubeBuddy? Yes, TubeBuddy, which is an extension for YouTube. or, you know, it's an extension for your browser that uses YouTube, and it's specifically made for content creators. So it's like you can get even more analytics information, whatnot. And another part of it is vidIQ, where I don't know if it's a, I think, I'm pretty sure vidIQ is actually its own or has its own separate extension by now. Firefox extensions. There we go. Let's look. vidIQ. Yeah, vidIQ Vision with insights and metrics that go beyond vidIQ Vision delivers a comprehensive blah, blah, blah. So that's not the one that I'm thinking of, because the one that I'm thinking of, the vidIQ that I'm thinking of, the extension I'm thinking of that I used at one point, but I don't use Chrome anymore, so I haven't reinstalled it to Firefox. And also I saw videos. I think I saw a video one time. It had like a thumbnail, and I think the video was all like, vidIQ is a scam or some bullshit like that. I never clicked on it, but I'm trying to find it again, because I want to see if vidIQ is actually like something I should get again or not. Because one of the cool things is that it uses AI to help with generating like titles and descriptions and whatnot. And so I actually used it for a while to generate descriptions for my videos for me, because I'm really bad at that. As you can tell, I pretty much never have any descriptions, or if there are descriptions, it's usually just links to things. But if I was smart, I would actually be adding tags and whatnot to my videos. I'd be adding tags within the description as well for the SEO and whatnot, search engine optimization. But I don't care enough to spend the effort and time to do that. But, you know, with this YouTube channel getting more and more popular, I've been thinking where I'm like, maybe I should be taking it slightly more seriously than I do. I don't know if I will, but I might. And by slightly more serious, I mean I'm probably just going to be uploading a video. Or not a video. I'm probably going to be uploading, you know, like 3 videos once a month instead of 1 video every few months. And obviously, I've been streaming more recently. Just because I spent money on the fucking VTuber model. I'm going to use the fucking VTuber model. You know? Anyways, yeah. So yeah, I'm looking into vidIQ again. I'm trying to see if I can find that video that called it a scam or whatever. Because I want to make sure that it's not, like, actually a problem or whatever. Like, if I were to add the vidIQ extension to Firefox, I want to make sure it's not going to try leaking my secrets. Not that I really have anything to hide besides my passwords. Like, that's the one thing. If it like... That's the one thing where it's like with spyware, I don't give a shit. Personally. You know, like, I don't give a fuck that Microsoft has all this information about me. I just don't want them having my passwords. I don't want that shit getting leaked, man. Because then I gotta reset all my passwords. But yeah. So yeah, like, I'm kind of on the side of, like, when it comes to that, to the people who are super against, you know, companies spying on you and whatnot, virtual footprint and whatnot. It's like, why are you so worried about it if you have nothing to hide? Although I also understand it from the perspective of, so this is the only reason that I actually hate spyware, and it's the fact that it wastes my processing power, motherfucker. Yeah. That's my only issue with it. If it didn't waste any of my processing power and whatnot, my RAM and shit, I wouldn't give a fuck. But the fact that Windows runs so much worse than Linux does pisses me off. Because too many video games are only able to be run through Windows and not Linux because of anti-cheat and whatnot. So, yeah, it's just like, I want to play my video games. And this is the other thing. I mostly use my shit for playing video games. I mostly use my computer for playing video games. The only other thing I do is make music in FL Studio. And you see, the issue is, most of the games I play are only playable on Windows because of anti-cheat. And the other thing is, FL Studios does not have a version for Linux. I did get it running on Linux that one time, but it's still a situation of like, why would I dual boot? Why would I, like, to be fair, Linux only takes up, I think, maybe 5-10 gigs, and then Windows is over here taking up like fucking 30 gigs because of fucking 29 gigs of spyware bullshit. Anyways, sorry. But, yeah. So, like, I would prefer to use Linux. It just sucks that it doesn't get support, you know? Like, nobody develops their applications to work with Linux, or most anti-cheat doesn't work with Linux, so most of the video games I enjoy playing, because I like competitive shooters, so most of the games I enjoy playing, I can't fucking play, because the anti-cheat's all like, you're playing on Linux, you can't do that. Fuck out of here. And I'm like, suck my balls. So it's like, why waste the, 5-10 gigabytes of storage space by having Windows and Linux on my computer if I'm only ever realistically going to be using Linux to surf the web and watch YouTube or something? Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to dual boot for me, so I don't dual boot. I would love to and the other thing would be, if I had to choose between dual booting or just having Linux, I'd fucking choose just having Linux. I don't like Windows because of how bloated it is and how many processes run that aren't necessary, but the issue is Windows forces them to be necessary, so you can't even get rid of them. If you try to get rid of them, you'll just brick your system. And it's like, this is not actually necessary for the fucking computer to work. Microsoft Edge is not necessary for my computer to work, except for the fact that it is. If I try to delete Microsoft Edge, the computer will stop functioning. The only reason that Microsoft Edge ever runs in the fucking background is so that they pretty much use Microsoft Edge to feed their the information they steal from you. And it's like, that's taking up my valuable RAM and processing power. Fuck you. Like, no joke. My system ran so smoothly on Linux, and my system still runs pretty smoothly. But at the same time, sometimes it really doesn't run that smoothly with Windows. Specifically on startup. With Linux, 0 issues on startup. Ever. It never was slow on startup. That bitch started up so fast. Windows, on the other hand, sometimes my shit is lagging when I start it up, because Windows is loading up 500 programs that are all there to steal my information, and it's like, fuck off. Dude, I will email you my information if you just remove the fucking... If they would just remove all the spyware from Windows, I would email them my information. I would email them my browser history, okay? I would do that in a heartbeat. If it meant I would have my processing power back. Because I don't give a fuck. There is nothing that I do that I'm like, oh, I don't want people knowing that I don't want strangers knowing that I do. I don't fucking know Bill Gates, bro. It does not matter. It doesn't fucking matter if he has any weird information on me. It doesn't matter that, like, I jerk off to, like, fucking, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of, like, a really bad, like, uh, NTR vor, tentacle porn, you know? I don't give a fuck if he knows that I do that. Okay, I don't fucking know him. As long as that stays between me and him, I don't give a shit. He can have all that information. It does not matter to me. What does matter is I want my computer to not run like shit because Windows decides to bloat their fucking bullshit with 50 goddamn background tasks that are running that are all just tracking different things to then, you know, create a portfolio of me that they can then sell, you know, sell my data and whatnot. Like, I don't care. I will give you my data myself if you just let me have my processing power back, you asshole. So yeah, I'm a lot of people that I know who don't like spyware, or like a lot of content creators that are like in the software, like field and whatnot, or software sphere of YouTubers, or electronics sphere of YouTubers. A lot of them, who are in those spheres are anti, giving their data to like companies and whatnot. And it's like, for me personally, it doesn't matter. I've never bought anything based on an ad. In fact, it's more often than not that if I see an ad for something, I will never buy it again. Because I'm pissed off. I don't want to see ads. Okay, so if I see an ad for your shit just out of spite, I'm never buying it again. That's why I only drink Dr. Pepper. They don't have ads. The only ads they have are the ads that they have on the bottles that are all like, get your pepper points and whatnot. Get your Piper Perry points for some Dr. Pepper. I feel like this has just gone off the deep end. The more that this has, the longer this recording has gone on for, the more that this has just derailed. Like, I feel like I started with, like, really interesting topics, and now it's just derailed into what the fuck. But that's just me, baby. that's why nobody loves me. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, like a lot of them, it's about their data being stolen. That's why they don't like it. And it's like, I don't give a fuck, man. They can have all the data they want on me. You know, I'll fucking send them my dick size. I will send them the largest dildo I can fit up my ass. I don't care. I don't give a shit. They can have all that information, man. It doesn't matter to me. What does matter to me is the fact that my computer is 50% slower than it was 5 fucking years ago because they keep adding more fucking bloatware to fucking updates. And if I don't update, then I just keep getting notifications every single day. Update to new Windows. Update to new Windows. Fuck off. I don't want to. I don't want it. Plus, most of my programs actually, like, I have a lot of programs that I run now that won't even work on, like, newer versions of Windows now. Like, I'm on Windows 11. Sometimes I can't update to the next version because I have an application that that hasn't updated itself to be able to run on the newest version of Windows. You know, like, I'm on Windows 11.5, and the new update, 11.6, just came out, but I can't update to it type shit. And on one hand, honestly, I love that. I don't want to update. On the other hand, There is no other hand, actually. I really like that. I don't like updating. Like the only problem that ever comes with not updating is security issues. I have malware bytes, motherfucker. I don't need your antivirus Windows. Leave me alone. Okay? Please. I just hope that in the next like 10 years Linux actually becomes mainstream and like games are forced to like anti-cheat is actually forced to support Linux. Cuz once that happens, I'm probably switching over because I like once again, I was able to get FL Studios running on Linux perfectly fine. So it's like all I need is Valorant and Call of Duty and whatnot to be able to be played on Linux. And once that happens, fuck y'all bitches. Fuck Windows. I'm gone. And once again, it's not because they steal my data. It's because of the fact that them stealing my data causes my computer to be slower than it should be. And they can suck my balls because of that. Fucking hate it. I hate it so much. I don't know if you can tell how much I hate it. Like, for me, the only thing I ever care about is maximizing, like, optimizing the shit out of my computer. Like those videos of the people who, fucking, like, try to get the most amount of FPS possible out of, like, Minecraft and whatnot. That's me with my computer. I'm like, okay, how much, whenever I install Windows, you know, like if I get a new computer and I install Windows on it, literally the first thing I do is I open up the apps and programs and I start uninstalling shit. Camera, don't need that. You know, like Windows Media Player, don't need that. Paint, don't need that. You know, I'm just deleting shit left and right. I don't need you. Get the fuck out of here. And then there's some that it's all like, you can't delete this. And I'm like, fuck off. You can't remove that. Suck my balls, asshole. Anyways, that's my rant about why I don't like Windows. And why I would much rather use Linux, but I sadly don't have a good enough... like, I have more reasons to use Windows than I have to use Linux, even though 100% I would use Linux instead of Windows. If it just weren't for the select few reasons that I stick with Windows. I almost feel like in the next couple of years, we might actually find out that Windows has been paying off like video game companies and whatnot to not support Linux and to like even go as far as, you know, paying off like anti-cheat systems to specifically make it so that, because this is the other thing, like you can emulate the Windows operating system within Linux. It's a very stripped down version of it. And because of that, it's like the anti-cheats actually detect that you're not running. They're able to detect that you're actually running their game within a simulated operating system, instead of, and that you have a separate operating system open that you're actually using and whatnot. It's able to tell, a lot of anti-cheats are able to tell that. And that's why they're all like, no, 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 no. And it's fucking, it's obnoxious. And I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out that Microsoft was actually paying off anti-cheat companies to specifically not allow people to play their games. Or like, if you're on Linux, they will, you know, flag you as cheating sort of thing, and you won't be able to play that game. I would not be surprised if it turned out that was true. But at the same time, I think it's far more likely that anti-cheat companies are lazy. First off, lazy. Second off, I think that, you know, the amount of people that use Linux versus the amount of people who use Windows, you know, Big difference. Okay, there's far more people that use Windows. So it's a mix of laziness and like, why would we waste money just so that 10 more people can play our game? You know, we don't need those 10 more people to play our game, sort of thing. And because dual booting exists as well, a lot of people who enjoy playing games that have anti-cheat, that makes it so that you can't play those games on Linux, will set up dual booting just to play those games. And so I also think that it's highly probable that companies also take into account the fact that, look, if that consumer wants to play our game, they can easily dual boot instead. And therefore, there's like very little incentive to update the anti-cheat to allow for Linux, especially because then you'd either have to hire more people so that they can put equal effort into both Linux and Windows when it comes to coding the anti-cheat. You'd have to have two separate teams, one that's for the Linux side and one that's for the Windows side. Or you reduce how good the anti-cheat actually is, because you're cutting your manpower in half now, because you're separating out, or not, maybe not in half, but you're still cutting the manpower by some amount because you're moving some of the people over to Linux. So then you end up with both anti-cheats being worse than if you only focused on making it a Windows specific anti-cheat. So it's like, because of that, it's understandable, honestly, why anti-cheat companies wouldn't, or video game companies that create their own anti-cheat. It kind of makes sense for why they wouldn't, you know, support Linux with their anti-cheat. It's still annoying because I fucking hate Windows and how much processing power it uses for no good fucking reason. But it's also like so this is the thing. I remember when I got Linux, I actually compared. One thing that I went and did is I compared like my laptop, which barely had anything on it besides Windows, and I even removed some things from Windows. You know, I removed some of the apps that the Windows version that I got came with. So I went through and I de-bloated it as much as I could. I'm not very good at de-bloating, to be fair. You know, there's people that are way better than me. And I remember comparing it, and it was insane. It's like, with Windows, I think it was like about, if I'm doing absolutely nothing on that computer. You know, if I'm running Windows and that's all, there's nothing else running, there's no extra background processes, it's only the Windows stuff. I think it was still sitting at like 15% of my CPU usage. And I think my CPU in my laptop is actually better than the one that I have in my desktop. But then, so yeah, then I compared my desktop usage. I don't think it was 15%. I think it was like 10% CPU usage. It was something like that. But my laptop CPU and my desktop CPU are pretty comparable, I'm pretty sure. I think the laptop one is slightly better, but I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure they are very much comparable. At least, because I know that my desktop CPU actually isn't that good. But yeah, there's like a massive difference because the fucking Linux was at like 1 to 5% usage. I don't think I've ever seen Windows go as low as 1% CPU usage because of how much fucking bullshit they run in the background. Like when you open up the start menu, my start menu doesn't have any of it actually because I deleted it. That was one of the things I deleted, was the widgets and whatnot from the start menu. My sidebar has no widgets and whatnot. It has the notifications, but I didn't feel like getting rid of that, even though I never look at it. But yeah, I have like no widgets. I removed all of those and whatnot. But yeah, it's insane. It's like, actually, I think at the time I did not debloat the windows. So yeah, I think Windows undebloat, like not debloated is it runs at about like, let's see. Let me look at what the number is currently for how much it's using, because there's the percentage, but can I also see processes, 284 processes, and that's with a bunch of shit running in the background, such as OBS, with 4,917 threads, 148,552 handles. Okay, I actually realize I don't know enough about what any of that bullshit means. Anyways, it uses up a lot. Like, Windows by itself was about, and so I believe in my laptop it's an i5, and my desktop it's an i3. So, like I said, my laptop, I'm pretty sure, is slightly better, but it's not a big difference. But yeah, in my desktop, I'm pretty sure it's an i3 is what I have. System info. I have 12th gen i3. Yep. And then same thing, 12th gen i5 in my laptop. And I'm pretty sure they're pretty comparable. Obviously the i5 is indeed better, but they are mostly comparable in performance and the amount of cores and whatnot. So anyways, with that being said, once again, Windows was like had an increase of like 10% CPU usage in comparison to Linux without me running anything. Just Windows and just Linux by itself. I mean, the only thing that would have added to CPU usage was Task Manager being open in Windows, and it's not called Task Manager in Linux. I forgot what it's called, but the equivalent of Task Manager in Linux, I had that open because that's the first thing that I did when I got Linux, is I wanted to see what is the difference in my CPU and my RAM usage. RAM is an even bigger, like, crazy bullshit, you know? Like, the RAM usage on Windows is like 25%, 20% or some shit like that. I don't think it's actually that high. I think it's like 5 to 10%, but the memory usage in Linux, it was, once again, it was like 1 to 5%. So once again, a decrease going to Linux from Windows, it's a decrease of like 5% memory usage. So like the performance of my video games was way better. Like whenever I would record something with OBS, the recording process was a lot smoother, a lot less laggy, not as intensive on my computer and whatnot. And the only reason it's ever intensive on my desktop is because of all the background processes Windows has. And so I am very much a optimization nerd, a performance optimization nerd. So I'm always trying to improve my performance as much as possible. And I really hate Windows because of how poor it is for performance, but there isn't exactly an alternative. Anyways, I should really stop this now. I should stop rambling, end this video, this podcast episode. So with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.